Hi, this is Bill Steffen. Thanks for joining me. There's an old joke that says something is boring when it's like watching paint dry. Well, today I was kind of watching the grass turn green after all the rain that we've had around here. It was certainly nice to see things kind of greening up during the day today. Quick hello to viewers joining us from the Ottawa News Network. We're glad to have you here. Here's a look at some of the rainfall totals and looking along the lakeshore. This rain hit areas that really needed it. Muskegon's, Spring Lake, Hudsonville picking up some decent rain. And my house right here, I picked up about 1.25 inches. Southwest Muskegon had the most rain. There was some flooding there on US 31. There was flooding at the Sherman underpass there as you're traveling north. You probably remember that. And a couple other spots. Lakeshore Drive, there was one spot where there was some significant flooding over in the Muskegon area. Spring Lake had 2.81 inches. Fenville and Cedar Springs about the same, 2.5 inches there. Holland 2.12. There were several reports from Holland. That was the one that had the most rain, but everybody in Holland saw some decent rain. 1.53 officially in Grand Rapids and 1.21 at Kalamazoo. The dry pattern is going to continue here across the area after a rather brief speed bump there of rain. This is what the severe threat looks like here for this Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. You can see Michigan is all white. That means no storms here, no rain. There won't be any rain anywhere in the state during the day today. One little tiny area of a marginal risk of severe weather is in northeast Montana and northwest North Dakota. We move to Thursday, and you can see some scattered showers and thunder showers in the east down to the south. And a marginal risk area expanded just a bit from the eastern Dakotas through a good portion of the state of Minnesota. Again, the main threat there will be isolated wind damage. 66-hour rainfall, and as you can see here, we've got 3 dry days coming up. So Michigan is all white. That means the next 3 days here are going to be dry. You can see where the front is, the cool front stretching from eastern Arizona across New Mexico, Texas, and then up to the northeast into New York and New England. And a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms across eastern Florida and in North Carolina along the Outer Banks there, where they're going to just get brushed by the winds and the rain from Hurricane Aaron. Here's a look at high temperatures on Tuesday. 80 degrees in Coldwater was the warmest, 79 Battle Creek and Marshall. Grand Rapids 78. We haven't had too many days that have failed to reach 80 here this summer, and it almost felt cool this evening. I was out walking at the athletic field, and there was a rather brisk wind out of the north, and even though the temperature on the car thermometer said 72, kind of felt a little cooler than that. Holland Airport topped out at 76. South Haven Pier had their high temperature at 10 a.m., and then the wind turned off the water, and the temperature dipped to about 72 and then held there all day. Muskegon Pier there also at 72. Days continue to get shorter. At noon, our sun angle is now at 60 degrees. That goes all the way down to 24 degrees at the winter solstice. So the sun is still pretty high in the sky here, even though the daylight is shrinking here at the rate of about 2.5 minutes per day. Record high for today, 97 in 1943, and the record low 43 in 1992, which was a pretty cool summer. I think we only had one 90-degree day that whole summer. We did have an upwelling event on Lake Michigan, some of the warmer water creeping back toward shore, though Mears was still at 61. Grand Haven at 66. A couple days ago, they were up at 76. And South Haven's temperature there at the buoy is 73. Reed's Lake fell 1 degree to 79. Here's a look at the update on Aaron. This storm coming just a little bit farther west than initial models forecast. And we do now have a tropical storm warning for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. That's a flat area and is prone to flooding when hurricanes come by. Aaron is a large storm. Its cloud cover reaches from the southeastern U.S. back toward Bermuda, and it's going to take a path right in between the U.S. and Bermuda. The strongest winds will be staying off the coast, but I could see, like I said, some tropical storm force gusts in western North Carolina before that, or excuse me, in eastern North Carolina before the storm heads out and becomes just a windy, rainy, low-pressure system heading toward northwest Europe. That the orange X there on the last map indicates where the next system is going to form, and that will likely be Fernand. And we'll have to watch that. That may take a path similar to Aaron and brush the Leeward Islands, maybe a shower or two for Puerto Rico, but don't see anything major. And then looking ahead to the western Pacific Ocean, there's several tropical depressions there, but no hurricanes. And this is the time of the year when there's normally at least one and sometimes several hurricanes to track. Nothing going on in the Indian Ocean. And once again, you see the trend that is apparent every day, it seems. The clouds over India, the dry weather over Egypt and southern half of Africa, and also much of Australia seeing yet another sunny day. Okay, our headlines: sunshine returns, dry weather expected through Friday now. Isolated shower possible here during the day on Saturday. Not a sure thing, but we could catch a shower over the weekend. And that's what the next cold front that'll usher in some pretty cool temperatures. Probably the coolest stretch we've had since May, with high temperatures in the low to mid 70s here much of next week. Here's a look at our forecast for the day today. We're going for a high of 78, early morning low of 61. Clouds should break up. It's been pretty cloudy here through much of the night, but the clouds should be breaking up. And even if it's cloudy when you wake up in the morning, you should see some sunshine during the afternoon. Winds generally northeast 5 to 15 miles an hour. They may be more north or even north-northwest near Lake Michigan. Here's a look at high temperatures today: 79 for Grand Rapids and Greenville, 76 for South Haven. Should be a pretty nice day. Ludington reaches 80 with a northeast wind. They get a little bit of downslope, and sometimes their temperature is warmer by a degree or two than it is inland. You can see it's cooler over by Saginaw Bay, and it's cooler up in the UP, where Marquette has another day when temperatures will probably fail to reach 70 degrees. Taking a look at the temperatures here for Thursday, we've got temperatures up into the low 80s, maybe a couple degrees warmer than Wednesday, but a pretty nice day. Mid to upper 70s along the Lake Michigan shoreline. Ludington Airport there at 81. And Detroit reaches 79. Up in the UP, temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s. Thursday will be an outstanding day to be traveling or to be outside. And then we move ahead a couple days to Sunday, and you can see the cooler air starting to come in. Look at temperatures over at Green Bay, just 68 with a northwest wind. 72 Milwaukee, 73, 74 for the Grand Rapids area. Just 69 for Traverse City with the wind coming in off the bay. And we'll be seeing temperatures in the 60s, even low 60s for high temperatures across a good portion of upper Michigan. So this will be some pretty cool air coming down here for next week. The 5-day forecast, we're calling it mostly sunny for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A chance for a shower, thunder shower, about a 50-50 bet on Saturday. Would not be an all-day rain. It'd probably be an hour's worth of rain or maybe an hour and a half, and then it would taper off. About 40% on Sunday. So at some point in time over the weekend, it's likely that we'll see a little bit of rain here. The 8 to 14-day outlook continues to the trend of cooler than average temperatures over the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. The cooler air pressing to the south. It's still above average in southern Texas and in Florida, and also in the Pacific Northwest. And in terms of rainfall for the 8 to 14-day period, we are dry. Once again, the darkest green is over South Florida and also southeastern New Mexico, two areas that have seen a fair amount of rain over the last month or so. So that's a look at our weather. What you got for us, Michelle?
Today's other show is super fun.
Okay.
So for the most part, especially on days that I'm not at work, he does not see any of these in advance. So he has no idea what we've got lined up for the day.
Oh, dear.
But people send us so many cool things, and there's so many cool things happening that the show just kind of wrote itself. So let's get to it.
Okay. Well, yes, indeed. Nexstar acquires TEGNA, is on target, about to become a target. And well, that could be. That's going to be interesting to see what happens, because at the moment, the FCC regulations dictate that you can't own a number one and a number two in the market.
Mm-hmm.
What is number one? WZZM, at least in Grand Rapids, is is number 2. Channel 3 vies with us as well. But all this information here is good. I've read this online. Nexstar owns Wood TV and more than 200 TV stations. Here in West Michigan, we have Wood, we have WOTV4, WXSP, and you can also watch The Hill and News Nation. If you watch the Wood News, you see commercials for News Nation, and that's because we own News Nation. So that's the reason why that gets such airplay. So I don't know what there are provisions in the contract that Nexstar would have to pay TEGNA a boatload of money if certain things don't happen, and TEGNA would have to pay Nexstar a boatload of money if certain things don't happen. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and how the Trump administration deals with the monopolies in certain cities and certain markets.
So the FCC rules go back a long time, back to when people mostly got their news from 3 TV stations and PBS and some newspapers. And those rules are in place to make sure that we have competition in our TV news sources and that we have diversity of viewpoints. So with the acquisition, there are 35 markets where there is an overlap in ownership, and that becomes a problem because there's FCC rules in place that no one can be too big in a single place. So currently, the rules say that an owner can have 2 stations in the same DMA, that stands for designated market area, if the service areas don't overlap, or if at least one of the stations is not a top 4 station. So that's how Wood gets away with having its extra station, is that it's not a top 4, it's okay. So
Right.
there can be exceptions, but for good reason. Okay, so what does it mean to overlap? Because we also know that WZZM is Grand Rapids North and Wood is Grand Rapids South. So is that truly an overlap? The rules don't exactly say that it must be total. The rules don't really have a threshold for how much has to overlap. So what's going to happen? Stations may be sold, stations may be closed. Like you said, there's more in the contract. I haven't read the contracts, but there might be more that's going to explain how all of this is going to play out. The FCC could change the rules. A handful of years ago in 2021, American Airlines tried to have a partnership with JetBlue, and the government said no. Well, 4 years later, now United has a partnership with JetBlue. I don't know what the difference was, but it wasn't okay then, and it is okay now. And if we've learned anything in the last presidential administrations, it's that executive policy can swing wildly.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is that the media is changing right now. It used to be everybody got their information from the 6 o'clock news and from newspapers, and now so many people get their information from the internet and from social media.
And I did find there is a code of federal regulation. So there is federal regulation on how the broadcast area is defined, but then it doesn't go so far as to explain overlap. Does overlap mean any overlap at all? Does it mean the slightest bit of overlap? Does it mean a split market? I would think that since Wood is the NBC station and ZZM is the ABC station, that is the spirit of the regulation, would be that they are an overlap. But whatever it is, it's going to be sorted out for all of the markets where this is an issue, not just for Grand Rapids.
And people are wondering how this is going to look. What would happen if Nexstar and TEGNA combined, and how would that work here locally? It's kind of uncharted territory, but it could be that we share video, but we still have the same anchor teams and still do separate newscasts. I mean, that's a possibility, because TEGNA makes money and Nexstar makes money. I mean, there will be some overlap, which we can kind of trim and kind of streamline just a little bit. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
And the FCC, if this is any precedent, they did relax some of the ownership rules in 2017, where they said that a TV station could team up with a newspaper.
Yes, and newspapers aren't what they used to be. I mean, if you take a look at the newspapers, they've kind of shrunk, and they've kind of combined. If you look at local papers, very often now they have state stories that can run in many newspapers across the country and across the state.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
you know,
loved the newspaper when I was a kid. I subbed for a paper route,
mhm.
and you had to run across 4 Mile to get there, which was probably not the safest thing in the world, but they let kids do anything in 1990.
Yeah.
I used
Well,
to love reading the audition notices for the local theater that was in the Sunday paper.
mhm.
Yeah, there was good stuff. So we will stay tuned to what's going to
I
happen.
still subscribe to M Live, the Grand Rapids Press, and I look through that, though I don't spend as much time there as I used to.
Mm-hmm. And when you transferred from ZZM to Wood TV, you were above the fold 2 days in a row.
Yeah, wasn't that amazing?
Well, I
It,
was in Spain when most of that went down, and before you could like email home. So I found out about it when I got home.
mhm. The phone rang. The phone was that one day. I remember the phone rang all day long at my house, um, beginning like at 7 in the morning. Well into the late evening, with people wondering what I'm going to do, and
Mm-hmm.
what's this and what's that, and one station. It's really amazing. I was 50 years old, and I had two stations that were. Normally by the time you're 50, you're becoming the PR director for the local hospital or something like that, or some big corporation. But yeah, and I had good feelings toward both stations. I wasn't clawing to put anybody down or anything like that.
And
Both
to be fair,
stations treated me well.
hospitals need outstanding PR directors. So
Yes,
here's to
yes,
them.
yes. At
Yeah.
one point in time, I think we had the PR directors of two or three hospitals, Grand Valley. The Grand Rapids Public Schools have all taken reporters from one station or another at one point in time.
Yeah, you
So,
got into the business at the right time and you got out at the right
got
time.
out at the right time. Well, I'm not totally out now. We're doing this.
Yay, we're YouTubers.
Yeah, I got an email from Ellen Baca today.
Oh, good
It's
for her.
interesting how meteorologists still talk about storms and weather and all that, and it just we're true weather geeks.
She and her husband are hot air ballooners.
Yes,
I
yes,
think that's awesome.
yeah. There's some great people in meteorology.
Mm-hmm. I remember the headline for you changing. It was "Big change in the weather?" ?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And Mom dropped me off for Spain. I was gone for 3 weeks because it was kind of starting back then that there was some grumblings that you might be changing. And she said when I got back, she'd let me know where you worked.
yeah, pretty
All
much.
right, fun.
And I didn't skip a beat. I was paid on one day from WZZM, and I was paid the next day by Wood. There was not a single day that I was unemployed in that stretch.
Because you did not have a non-compete, which are enforceable in Michigan if they're narrowly tailored, but you didn't have one. So
Yeah, I had a right of first refusal, but not a non-compete. And I think I went 17 years without a contract. And the station owner at the time, I think I worked for 7 different owners. The station owner came by and insisted everybody would have contracts. And George Lyons was the GM, and he didn't like that idea. He said, my word is, my handshake is truth and gospel, and we don't need this. So the first contract he gave me was, and it was kind of a joke, was about 3 sentences. Hi, you will work for us. Here's how much we will pay you. We appreciate you. Go back to work. But then the contracts got longer and longer. And I think the last contract I had it was like 11 pages, single space. I sent it to you. Remember my lawyer daughter to look over. Just like, tell me what all of this means.
I don't have a contract at all for my legal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of nice.
Some do and some don't.
Yeah.
People move around more. I think, in my father's day, you aligned yourself with one company and you stayed there the whole time. It was like that in Hollywood. I mean, if you were the property of MGM, you did MGM movies, you did MGM TV, and if you didn't have anything to do, you still got paid by MGM. You were an employee and you stayed with them for 30, 40 years. My father worked for Bell and Howell for 33, 34 years coming out of World War II.
Mm-hmm. I worked so many places, starting with the Alpine Burger King, where I met lots of on-air talent from WZZM.
Yes, I remember that, and I still like Whoppers and Burger King. That's still good stuff. Don't get
I
there
used
off.
to have that entire menu memorized.
That's
Number
good.
1, Whopper. Number 2, Double Whopper. I'll spare you the rest of it. Okay. August 20, 2016. Do you remember 6 tornadoes in West Michigan?
Oh, yes. Yes. And in fact, I did not remember that until you reminded me of that. I was here at home. I was not working at the time. I believe Kyle Underwood was at the station, and maybe Laura Velasquez were doing it, and they did a stellar job. They were great. We had one tornado that came really close to Rivertown Crossings Mall down there. Yeah, the first one was down by Bangor, and I believe we had some video of that. Yeah, most of the tornadoes that we get here are small, and I didn't want to go into work. They wanted me to come into work, but the storm was coming right up into Grand Rapids, and it was a tornado producing storm, and they had construction going on 131, and there was a great big backup. I could see there was a huge backup. I'm like, look, I'm not going out there and being stuck out there when a tornado's coming. So we let the two of them deal with it. If you look at the map on the right side, this is really cool. It was like one storm that produced the tornadoes, and it was on the ground, and then it lifted, and then it touched down again in Fenville, and then it lifted, and then it started again. And you can see the EF ratings there, EF zeros, EF ones. We've had several of these over the past 10 years or so where you get, we had one this year. We had 12 tornadoes in one day, real small ones, but these multiple outbreaks. I remember, was it May 21, the year that I changed stations, 2001. We had, I think, 4 tornadoes in Kent County alone that day. So that was pretty interesting.
So the NWS has photos of this one. So these are photos of some of the damage from Allegan.
Yes, indeed, and you can see we're getting very good now at looking at damage and actually giving a pretty good estimate as to what the winds were and which way the winds were blowing. I remember doing a survey up in Big Rapids from a tornado that went through there, and we were trying to determine if it was a tornado or just a severe thunderstorm wind. And it was interesting because there was one crabapple tree, and the crabapples went in every direction. So you could tell that the wind changed directions. It was, from one direction, and then it switched and came out of the other direction. And the crabapples were a good distance away from the tree. So it was pretty windy there.
So the National Weather Service has photos for each of the tornadoes if you're interested to go online and look it up.
Right. And those are, And if you have a weather event that you're interested in, the Weather Service may online have a summary of that, so you can check that out.
And here's how the radar looked for the Allegan tornado that produced that damage.
And that was a significant storm, as you can see, a lot of red and yellow there. Not a ton of lightning with that storm, if I remember right, but there certainly was some heavy rain and some gusty winds along with the tornado outbreak.
August 20, 1920, America's first commercial radio station went on the air, and that was in Michigan. It was in Detroit.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Right? It started as 8MK and later changed its name to WBL and later WWJ. And some sources online say that it's lost to history why it was named WWJ. Other sources say that they just wanted something catchy and easy to remember, and that's what they got. Initially, it was government reports and weather information. Then it heavily reported on World War II. Today, it is WWJ News Radio AM 950. It's all news all the time today, and it is still there today. And then they later started in television as well, and today it is WDIV4 in Detroit.
Interesting. Yeah. The call letters, every station east of the Mississippi River starts with the W, and everyone west of the Mississippi River starts with the letter K. There are just a couple of exceptions to that. There's KDKA in Pittsburgh. it was kind of grandfathered in. But notice everything
Yours
starts.
will be WBS.
Well, yeah, WBS for Bill Steffen. We'd have to go with William, I think. Make it a little bit more formal.
Okay, so many people sent us awesome photos today. So thank you so much. Please keep sending them. Be brave. Be a part of the show. Bill@BillSteffen.com. Thank you for everyone who sent in photos. So first, starting with daughter number 2 in Marquette. Yay!
Yeah, she's up there. It's nice to see the ship coming in.
Isn't that beautiful?
She did the Pictured Rocks tour. We did that, maybe 8-9 years ago, daughter number 2 and I, and we did with the whole day in the kayak. We really went for it. And I wore 2 T-shirts and 2 sweatshirts because it was raining, and I was afraid I might get cold. But with all that on me, I was going to say I hope the life jacket works. But it was cool. The greatest thing about the day that we were out there is the lake was calm, and that's very rare. And that's one of the reasons why we did that. We knew it was going to rain for most of the day, but that was cool. Chapel Rock, Pictured Rocks, National Lakeshore. Mm-hmm. And this is a picture from the boat. I think they took a boat this time instead of kayaks. But really interesting. And can you imagine, what the scene would be like when you had these wild, 15-foot waves and hurricane force winds out of the north coming down and having those waves pound the rocks there. Beautiful waterfalls there. Mm-hmm. She has sent me pictures of half a dozen waterfalls, I think. Mm-hmm. And
I've never been. I've seen in my social media feeds this picture so many times from people who have been, but I've never been there. Mm-hmm. So Thanks, Marie, for sending on. Looks like you're having a wonderful time on your trip. Mm-hmm. And here's Oval Beach Saugatuck, and that just looks like it should be a commercial for Oval Beach Saugatuck. Yeah,
isn't that a pretty picture? Saugatuck still had warm water. Early morning, somebody got a water temperature of 77 at Oval Beach. So that was the place to be this afternoon. But Mike, thanks for the pick. Not too many more summer type days like this. So get out and enjoy them while we got them. Mm-hmm.
And I thought this one was lovely because it's weather themed, and then it's also an artful picture of the rain gauge as well.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Information and art at the same time.
Your weather station, which you gave me, is working fine. I had 1.22. I think it's quite accurate. Obviously, I can't get a decent wind measurement here without sticking it up above all the trees around here, but rainfall is pretty good at it, and I got it in a great spot. 52nd in Kalamazoo. I think that's probably. Can you read the? I guess I can't read. It looks like it's well over an inch there.
A little over 1.5.
Yeah, 1.53. What is my? Where is it? Maybe I threw it out. Kalamazoo, at the airport, 1.21, but that's down in Portage on the south end of town. Okay, yeah, there were a couple other reports I saw of 1.5 inches in the Kalamazoo area. Andrew, thanks for that.
And we got a frog.
A riveting experience.
So the frog is not named Jamie. We don't know the frog's name, but Jamie is the person who sent us the picture of the frog. So thank you, Jamie.
We'll call him Jeremiah, the frog.
He's so detailed.
Pardon me?
He's so detailed. He's all those different colors.
Yeah. You can hear him at night. In spring, one of the first signs of spring is the spring peepers that come out. Mm-hmm. And you can still hear them this time of year. We were at Meyer Gardens about 3 weeks ago, and we saw a really big frog sitting up next to a lily pad.
At the house in Traverse, we had a little bit of a bog behind our house, which made it nice because it wasn't buildable, so it was always just going to be peaceful like that. And we had frog season. Neat. In the spring until it dried up. There were a couple weeks of ribbit.
And it's amazing how those critters can dig down into the mud and then hibernate, or I don't know if that's the exact word you use for frogs, but they can survive the winter and then come back out in the spring.
And how much they grow and change.
Mm-hmm.
So cool frog. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, big one.
And here is Clybanks Township Park and Campground, Oceana County.
I have been there before.
Oh, yeah?
Several times. I have never camped there, I don't think. I used to do more camping when I was single. And I would, it was really kind of interesting because being Bill Steffen, I always found people to talk to and had a great time. But yeah, Claybanks is a nice park and it's got a great view of the lake.
You know, I think you would find people to talk to even if you weren't famous because you just like to talk to people.
That could be, yeah. And I did. I was hiking, or I was walking today at the athletic field, and there was a guy walking his dog, and he was walking in the opposite direction that I was walking in. And every time we passed each other, we said something meaningful. You know, I complimented him on how nice his dog looked and all that.
Okay, so when you work for an airline, you end up getting the seats that other people are not assigned to. So even when I travel with Dad, it's very common to not be assigned to sit in the same row because we take what's left and we're grateful for it. So whoever sits next to Dad is going to have someone to talk to the entire time. And whoever sits next to me is not going to have anyone else to say a thing.
No, I have a good time talking to people.
So it goes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you were in the right profession and I write all day.
Yeah. Well, everybody has different talents, abilities, and interests. And your job in life is to use your talents, abilities, and interests to earn a living, help other people, and have fun. And if you're religious, I would say please God would be in there too.
So here is where that is. If you're interested in Oceana County, it was a place I didn't know where it was. So I looked it up and it costs $40 a night to camp there and $50 on the holidays.
Okay, yeah, camping costs more money than it did. Golly, I think you can still camp in some of the state forests for free.
That's still not very much. I was thinking like how inexpensively a family could do a family vacation, $200 plus your food and a tent that you would own. Like that's a totally amazing family vacation right there.
Yep. And we did that. You know, my dad lived in a tent for a year during World War II, so he was all up for camping. And we did. I remember one time we had a really bad storm north of Lake Erie. You were probably too small to remember. We all retreated to the car, but I was so impressed the fact that we had 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts and my tent didn't blow down. It was like the only one in the park that didn't blow down.
Nice.
Of course, nowadays everybody's got the Hoovered Wonder Lodges and all that kind of stuff. Nobody does tent camping much anymore, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, and here is the start of the first pumpkin of the season from John Scully.
Oh, hurry, little pumpkin, hurry, hurry, hurry. We're already to August 20. But yeah, there's time yet. Get that pumpkin in.
When I lived in Australia, they cooked pumpkin like we cook potatoes.
Really?
They make it into soups. They make mashed pumpkin. Yeah, it's not sweet at all. It's like a potato, I guess. It was great.
I've always liked pumpkin soup, and potatoes are one of my favorite foods.
So there you go. If you need ideas, you can be Australian and make yourself mashed pumpkin, baked pumpkin, whatever. Pumpkin soup.
I remember when I first got here, I think I've told this story before once, and maybe you haven't heard it. I used to do school speeches all over, and when I went up toward Edmore or Vestaburg, there were always farms that were selling sacks of potatoes. And there was one place I would go and they would send you a 50-pound pack of potatoes. And I think it was like $5 or something like that. So I would buy these 50 pounds. And what am I going to do as a single guy with 50 pounds of potatoes? I would just give them out to people at work. You know, hey, Bill's here. Have a potato, you know. Yeah, great area up there in eastern Montcalm County. From John Doherty, a little friend. Ooh, that perked up the cat. The cat is over here looking sideways now at our caterpillar.
Yeah, I bet if it were really there, the cat would be interested.
I'm sure. You know, it's interesting. My cats have not really eaten a lot of prey. They poke it around and Nimbus, I remember Nimbus once ate a fly. It just banged a fly on the screen and ate it, but I never saw it really eat a mouse. It caught a mouse a couple of times and it just wanted to play with it.
I hear your kitty.
Yeah, it's kind of coughing. It's got allergies or something like that. We've got some medicine for it, but
poor kitty.
It coughs and sneezes and whatnot.
Oh, sweetie.
There's something bothering it here.
Well, since we moved to Alabama, Rosie is a homicidal maniac. We were trying to convince her that geckos are friends, not food. And Ollie once chased a mouse into our bedroom in the middle of the night.
Oh, swell.
And then he was like, Mom, that's my friend. I don't know why you're kicking him out.
Yeah, that's how the cats looked at me. We trapped a mouse once and took it out, and the cats were just looking at me like, "What are you doing, taking my toy away?"
Yeah, we were just playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the real thing, Mom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a whole thing. All right.
Well, so thanks, John. I appreciate it. And thanks for all the pictures. That was great. Yeah,
and if you've hung out this far, thank you for listening to us chat, and thank you so much for everyone that sends stuff in. It's awesome. Let's keep that going.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget the YouTube channel is Bill Steffen 616. I'm at billsteffen.com. And of course, that's my famous picture of me with the snow in Lake Louise, Jasper area back on July the 22nd. We got a pretty good day coming for you. In fact, a good 3 days in a row here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hope you get outside and enjoy. But one way or another, have a great day.